In an era of how does a university go from a tiny university to nationally known?
Welcome to Fordify Live with your host, Ford Saeks.
And that's our topic of today. And to help me do that is my friend and colleague, world-renowned expert on a variety of things, but most importantly, my friend and colleague and the president of High Point University, here to share some of those insights. And how did he take, in times where everybody else is having challenges, how is he able to continually grow year after year? Nido, welcome to Fordify Live.
Well, Ford, thank you very much. It's a pleasure being with you. I've admired you for years for all the good that you do, for your bright mind, for your phenomenal ability to strategize. And you've helped so many people for so long. I just want you to know it's a real pleasure for me to be with you. Thank you for all that you do. Listen, yes, there are enrollment pressures and revenue pressures on higher education today. There are lots of reasons for that, both economic, geopolitical, and perception of people across America. In spite of it, High Point University has gone from a tiny little school of 1,400 students to 6,100 students from 50 states and 50 countries for it. We've gone from 3 academic schools to 13.
Wow.
Any of your listeners who know anything about higher education would know what that takes. It takes $100 million plus. It takes attracting the right faculty, having the right facilities. We went from 91 acres for it in an urban setting to 550 acres. And we went from net assets of 56 million to more than $1 billion. God is being good to us. Let's start right there. But let me tell you 2 or 3 things. Number one, focus is more important than intelligence. We focused on what it is that parents want for their students, for their children, and what it is that students will value, not just during their journey in college, but when they graduate. Get a job, achieve your dreams, fulfill your goals, be all that you're intended to be. So at Hype University, we became the premier life skills university. We have a marriage for it between the academic protocol inside the classroom and life skills that serve you well when you go out, get a job, start a business, or go to graduate school. Now, along the way, we did a lot of things. As you know, my background is in business. You've known me for a long time. I built half a dozen businesses. So I brought business principles. Colleges and universities, Ford, are not businesses, but they should employ business, the stuff that you teach. They should employ business principles. That's what we've done. And my, oh my, did the world notice, and are they beating a path to our door? 16,000 applications for a class of 1,500. It's really tough to keep it to that number, but we're trying to be this outstanding, extraordinary education center in America and the world.
Well, you've certainly done amazing things with the other, chairmen of boards on multiple companies. And for those of you listening, we are live right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And this is Dr. Nido Qubein. He's the president of High Point University. For those of you that aren't familiar with High Point, you can go to highpoint.edu. You can check out the school and see what that's all about. If you're listening to the broadcast, that's why I wanted to redo the domain so that everybody could find it. So in our masterminds, because I consider you one of my mentors, you've talked to me a lot about value and perceived value and interpreted value. Can you share that with our viewers and listeners with what that concept is? Because I think a lot of people are confused on what delivering true value, because there's no way you grew from 1,600 to that. There's no way you went to getting 16,000 applications for that many spots without tremendous communication and value. So what's that concept that you always share?
Well, Ford, everybody talks about value. But remember, everybody provides value. The tiny little entrepreneur at the corner of Elmont Commerce has some value. Every employee brings some value. The question is not whether or not you render value. If you render no value, you shouldn't be in business. Right. You should clear the way, get out of the way, let somebody else more meaningful, purposeful, on target, get the job done. So the question is not rendering value. The question is, are you rendering appreciated value? Appreciated value. So what makes the difference between those two is simple. If I gave you 2 first-class tickets to fly all the way to Hawaii, and then I gave you 2 first-class best suite on the biggest ship to go for 2 weeks cruise across the islands of Hawaii, that would be tremendous value. That's cost a lot of money. However, if you're afraid of flying for it, assuming those tickets are not transferable, you're afraid of flying, and you get motion sickness on the ship, the last thing you want to do is to be on a big ship on a big body of water. You will not have appreciated value for that gift. You might appreciate something else much more. If you give me a certain product, certain drink that I don't particularly care for or ask for, you give me a truckload of it, it has value. There's market value. People are exchanging legal tender for it. But if I don't drink it and I can't give it to anybody else and I can't sell it, it has no appreciated value. So the key for it is to understand that every human being really lives life and achieves greatness when they have these four things taken care of: fear, need, goals, aspirations. So if I'm trying to sell you something, selling is nothing more than persuasion. So it's not about communicating, it's about connecting. It's about crossing the chasm from where you are to where I am. It's about ensuring that you understand that what we offer you will make your life better and your future more secure. And so I must know what you're afraid of. And I must know what your needs are, goals, aspirations. And when I do that, then I can craft a presentation that is loaded with appreciated value. And then your desire to be a partner with me on this mission becomes so much greater, so much deeper, so much wider. And by the way, price becomes secondary.
Yes.
And inconvenience becomes secondary. And even sometimes speed might become secondary. So the issue is to provide appreciated value. Now, at Hype University, we did really four things. We made sure everybody gets appreciated value.
Yes.
We make sure that we interpret the value. Just because you provide appreciated value, if you don't interpret it in a way that I can understand it, you miss the point. So it's all about interpretation of that appreciated value. Third, Ford, we removed all the irritants out of the system. Why would you want to irritate your clients? You got to know what the irritants are. You know, the problem, Ford, is most people don't have a great sense of awareness. They have not developed the skill of awareness. So they don't know that they're irritating people in the way they build them, communicate with them, answer the phone, meet with them, etc. So number one, what did we do? Create appreciated value. Number two, we interpreted the value. Number three, we made sure we got rid of all the irritants. Number four, we added wow to the experience. The reason I call it wow is because you notice when you go into a building, you see something beautiful, what do you say? You go, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I just met a wonderful person who was very kind and hospitable. Wow. So the more time someone says wow to what you offer, who you are, what you do, and how you make them feel, the more appreciated value you're obviously delivering to them. That's not rocket science. That's common sense. Right. And so the more we get ourselves in that zone, that level of awareness, Ford, we will develop great judgment. Life is all about judgment. How you make decisions, how you solve problems, how you find solutions. It's about judgment. And when you do that, awareness and judgment, guess what you have? You have relevance. Most of our colleagues, Ford, talk about relevance.
That's true.
Talk about relevance is hot air until you show me exactly what makes you relevant in a sustainable fashion. You got me started. Can you tell you got me started?
This is amazing. I mean, I think this is great. I mean, we're talking when I took some notes.
I'm glad the crowd is cheering.
Yes, the crowd is cheering and they're clapping. You know, when you think about fears, needs, goals, and aspirations, you know, just like in anything in any sales situation, and you know, say what you want, you're a master connector. Your relationships, you know, knowing, because I've known you for decades now, and I've watched you. You've always been extremely successful, but you just keep raising the bar year after year in all the different ventures you're in. I mean, High Point University is one thing, but I know you do a lot of other things outside of High Point too. And you raise the bar and you build these amazing relationships. And for those of you, just go to High Point EDU and look at who they have for their commencement speakers. Look who they bring in, for everybody from John Maxwell to everybody. I mean, we could name names till the cows come home. When you're in a situation of building those relationships, what are some of the things that you do to make sure that you only surround yourself with quality people as opposed to those people that are parasites?
Yeah. So thank you for everything you said. It is accurate, by the way, what you said. Founder of Apple Computer, founder of Netflix, chairman of Domino's Pizza, chairman of the board of AT&T. We have more than 50 of those. The reason we have is because our professors are stellar, every one. They teach the content inside the classroom, but I want practitioners who do it every day to balance that off with real life lessons. And that's why we're the premier life skills university. We're also got family country. You see the flag behind me. I'm an immigrant to this country, Ford, so I have great appreciation for the American dream and the opportunities that lie for all of us. Now, look, my mother used to say, who you spend time with is who you become. Who you spend time with is who you become. I've watched you, Ford, over the years. You always hang around people who are smart, successful, significant in what they do. Guess what? By definition, by default, you enhance who you are, your mind, your spirit, your activity, your relationships, your connectivity. And so the environment in which you choose, it's a choice. The environment in which you choose to exist absolutely defines the person that you become. And it's all about choices. The circumstances in which you find yourself today do not define the person you become. It's the choices that you make. It's how you change. Not if you change, the world will make a change whether you like it or not. It's how you change is how you will succeed. So that's your question directly. Look, I love people and I respect people. I respect every individual and I value every relationship. But there are certain people I'm going to spend more time with. I'm going to be nice to everybody, but it doesn't mean I'm going to commit my time or energy in that relationship. I want people, Ford, like you, who stretch my brain, who say things to me, even the questions you ask me. You're forcing me to be substantive and substantial in my answers. This trains and educates your mind to be a person of purpose, to communicate with clarity, because it's all about clarity. So how do you do that? Well, I think the number one thing that you do is you acknowledge and understand that you cannot make it by yourself.
Right.
So you have to do everything you can to meet people who are of great value. I bring people to the National Speakers Association of the highest order. I talked to one last night, a multi-billionaire. Everybody knows what this person has done in his life. Everybody knows his product. And I simply asked him, would you come to NSA next year? We're going to give you this award and so on. He gets an award a week. This guy's not looking for awards. And he said, Nido, if you're asking me to do something, I will be on vacation with my family. Let me tell you how important this is. I will depart for a day and come to Denver to do that because you're my friend. I'm a friend to others first, Ford.
Yes.
I'm loyal to my friends, and my friends therefore become loyal to me. Having said that, we should never abuse any relationship. We should never misuse it or overuse it. When people say to me, can I have an hour of your time? I don't have an hour. I start at 3 o'clock in the morning, go to 6, 7 o'clock at night. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. But I am productively busy all day long. I'm creating ideas. I'm writing stuff. I'm meeting with my people. I'm walking around. I'm improving things every day. I walk around, talk to my students. I don't ask them, what do you like about this building? I say, what don't you like about this building? Because I'm going to learn from it, A, correct it so they like it. B, the next building we build, we need to learn from this research, right? Walking around. So the only way you can build great friendships, by the way, number one is if people respect you.
Yes.
They got to respect you. If they respect you, then they're likely to be closer to you. How do people respect you? By being a person of value, by rendering to them first. William Barclay, the Scottish theologian, Ford said, always give without remembering, always receive without forgetting.
Yep.
Hello.
I taught me that years ago and I've used it. Yeah, it's great.
Gotta give. Now, I don't like it when people say give back. I'm not into giving back. I don't give to my church because I'm giving back. I don't give to my alma mater because I'm giving back. God does not reward giving back. It sounds like an obligation. It sounds like you took a loan from the bank.
Right.
And you have to give it back. I believe in giving, unconditional but responsible giving. So you give not just with money, you give with your time, your energy. I read a good book, I'll buy 5 copies, send it to my friends. Look how much you get from me in the mail, right? I always
every day. In fact, thank you for the recent gift that I know Elisa sent you a card. I know you recently had a birthday, and I said, did you tell Nido happy birthday? And she said yes, and I sent him a thank you card for the HPU swag that we got. So it was amazing.
Yes, and I appreciate that card very much. By the way, I have no idea how this woman agreed to marry. I don't
I don't either.
understand
I
this.
married up. For those of you watching,
Sure.
we're talking about my wife, Elisa. And so did you. So, Mariana, just so you know, I know. So I want to
You gotta
touch on
believe
it.
in miracles, my friend. So I think the short answer is
Yeah.
to be a person of value, appreciated value, to make sure that you are good to other people first, to make sure that you are a respectful individual. And you know what happens after a while? It's like a mathematical equation. Just grows. People start talking about you. The doors of opportunity open up for you. Now, I'm older and I've been around for a while. It took me many years to build those relationships. But when I first came to America, Ford, I could hardly speak English. As I learned English, I love to read books. I read 2 books a week. And so I said, I'm going to read as many autobiographies and biographies as I could. And I read maybe 200 of them. I wanted to know the great people in America and the world. How did they get there? And more importantly, how did they stay there? How did they grow? I'd never go to bed at night without asking this question. What did I learn today I did not know yesterday? That's my little way of saying I must grow every day. And if you don't grow, you need to clear space for somebody else.
Yeah, I think God, family, and country. That's one of the things I love about High Point, or HBU, as I would refer to it. I love that the values, the leadership skills, the life skills that you're instilling in these people, and more importantly, the critical thinking skills, because you're creating opportunities for them to expand their brain and think, not just regurgitate data. And that's where I think that why HBU has been so successful across the board, and on all levels of it. And so when it comes to critical thinking, and we've got executives, franchise brands, owners, entrepreneurs on this, what are some suggestions that you would give in today's economic pressures, the political climate we're in, supply chain issues, inflation, banking, money? I mean, you have your eyes on all 3 buckets, right? And you first taught me this 30 years ago, I think, and I think you started when you were 6 for those watching the thing. But you taught me, you said people in business are good at one of 3 things. They're either good at making and delivering the product, they're good at marketing and sales, or they're good at management. But they're never good at all 3, right? They're always good at maybe 1 or 2 of those, and they need to hire their weaknesses. But for those listeners, what would you tell people on how to navigate through the future of what's happening right now?
Well, the world is flat, we know that, and the world is changing dramatically and dynamically, and nobody's going to stop that. Artificial intelligence is just one tiny part. It's growing all around us. The anticipation of today's clients and customers, the needs that they expect, is greater and deeper ever before. The skepticism in the marketplace due to media saturation and so on is more than ever before. There are all kinds of dynamic factors that affect our businesses today. And it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. Now, I owned a franchising company, of course, Great Harvest Bread Company for many years. I understand what your listeners and viewers go through every day. I have great respect for people who are entrepreneurs, franchisees, licensees, distributors. I have great respect for those individuals because they know how to take a calculated risk, and then they work so hard to make it successful. And that's what the American dream is all about. It's not about big buildings, big houses, and Rolls Royce. It's about the achievement of your own goals. And those entrepreneurs do that, and do it with my deepest respect and appreciation. Look, I think the way we deal with what's going on right now is to be, number one, is to have faith in America, faith in our future. Let's not politicians or the divisiveness in this country affect our soul. It might make you think differently about different things, but let your spirit and your heart and your soul still be in a pure position of appreciation and gratitude. After all, if you have oxygen today and you're breathing it at this moment and you're paying 0 for it, hello, without it you would be dead. We should be at least grateful for that. And oxygen is not just a breath of life. It's about your business, your opportunity, your friends. So I think the way you deal with it is you have faith. And then, of course, you have to have courage. This is a moment that commands a courageous response. This is not a moment where we hide our light under the bushel. This is a moment where we say, I know the world is changing. I know the challenges are, coming by the 18-wheeler truckload. But guess what? I have grit. I have agility. I am flexible. I am a student. I know people who can help me. I'll get a consultant like Ford who can enlighten my mind. I know people who can listen to me, and I will commit myself to excellence. Here's the trick. You cannot look for perfection. I meet people every day who are trying to be perfect, trying to make the business perfect, their employees perfect. That is to not. What we should be focused on is excellence, not perfection. So I believe as change takes place, I mean, I'm in higher education, and let me tell you, change is all around us in mega ways. There are people saying, don't go to college. There are parents saying, is it worthy of my investment, and so on. By the way, everybody listening to us, Ford Saeks got an honorary degree at Hype University. I'm so proud of him. He has proven without a shadow of a doubt that great things happen.
Yeah, it's actually right there on my wall. I was trying to hit the camera button to show it, but it turned off your mic. But yeah, it's amazing.
I'm telling you, we got it. So it's the truth.
Yeah,
I signed it for him and presented it to him, and he wore the robe and the hat and the whole deal.
Yeah, and again, I was honored to get that honorary degree, and I it's part of my bio, and I tell people when people say, well, what was it like going to High Point University? And what I'm honored is that, this isn't something you hand out like Tic Tacs, like you've given out 5 in years. So I was very honored. And I remember, so for those of you listening, I went up to Nido and I said, and now just for the record, I called him Nido in his boardroom meeting, and his whole staff looked at me because they call him Dr. Qubein, and I messed up. But anyway, I remember going up to him and I said, how do I repay this? He said, well, you're going to have to behave now because, people know that you went to HPU. And he said, so you're just going to have to be careful. He said, I don't want to see you on TikTok. I don't want to see any other things. So I actually have my class ring, and I wear my class ring. I'll try to get it to focus in here just a second. So I wear it so that I remember, okay, what would Nido do? So you're a big part of my life, and certainly the lessons I've learned through you and through HPU and the professors there and all the staff and the leadership. And more importantly, what you give back to your community. I mean, you're not just helping out, what you've done for your community and for the leaders and for all the people you've just grown. And I want to, as we get right close to end of this conversation, I do want you to share some things on leadership because, when I look at somebody's identity and I think, what is the identity? What I love about you is beyond just an amazing critical thinker, you play devil's advocate, but you really analyze everything and you look at things from strategic point of views, from tactical point of views, from relationship. I mean, you really look at it from a variety of views, but you really are a great leader. And so what are some leadership insights that you can share for those organizations that might be struggling with our culture? Because you've taken a situation at your college, at your university, and you've elevated it against all odds. Like if you go back and you look at the history of what Nido's done with HPU, everything was against you. The community was against you. The investors were against you. I mean, everything. And you were able to completely turn that around in the face of proving everybody wrong of what's possible. So how did you, I know we talked already with some of the concepts, but from a leading standpoint, how do you lead your team? Because if you go through HPU, I'm just going to share this for anybody who has never been on campus or done a tour. Everybody opens doors for everybody else. Like this is not you won't find trash. You won't find this is immaculately because they've instilled life skills and personal accountability and responsibility. So how do you, and the people you've worked with, everybody I've worked with on your staff is just amazing. How did you make sure that you found the right people and hold them accountable? Because I think that's a challenge that organizations are facing right now is they're bitching and complaining. Sorry, it's my show. I can say that, but they're complaining about their staff. I can't find good staff. And instead they're looking in the wrong places. So if you don't mind, I will say one last thing before you answer. I know that Nido blocks his day in 5-minute blocks. So I want to be very respectful of your time. I know how many blocks that I've probably already used. So I'm going to turn it back over to you for leadership and insights.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Ford. First of all, we're an academic institution. So obviously, my focus every day is on making sure that every student at High Point University in High Point, North Carolina, receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. That's our primary focus every day. Let me also say to you that leadership really is not as difficult as people make it sound. The number one priority for a leader is to create capacity in others. So a leader must be a hero model and mentor to other people. You can't just lecture people. You can't have crusades aimed at them. You have to have partnerships with them. And the way you do that is that you make sure that you help them to grow. So never criticize someone. Always try to say, I know we did it this way. There's a better way of doing it. And let me explain to you why this is a better way. And you're trying to make sure that they're persuaded that by doing it this way is better. And in so doing, next time you've created capacity in them, they will take care of this particular matter and other matters related to it. And so that's really what a leader is. Now, a leader, of course, helps people think better, have a growth mindset. A leader is a resource to coach and to mentor those who are around them. And a great leader knows exactly how to attract the right person around him. I call them levers, Levers, levers. So while I have 2,200 employees at High Point University, there are probably a dozen levers who really maneuver this big vessel every day. And so we have 8,500 people on campus every day, plus 100,000 visitors a year. You can imagine the complexities.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So it's all about that. Now, how do you make sure you get the right people on the team? First, you have to be a person of substance. First, you have to be a person they respect. So that means you have to communicate and clearly explain why your organization is a great place to work, why when you work with me, you're going to learn, you're going to grow, we're going to treat you with fairness and justice, and people are going to envy the fact that you associate with our organization. It won't work in every case. That's impossible. I interviewed on my television show, I have a show on PBS North Carolina here, which they can see, by the way, at highpoint.edu or HPU Plus. It's an app you can download. It's free. It's called HPU and then the Mathematical Plus. And you'll see a million interviews and so much good information. But I interviewed a guy this morning, Ford, who has 100% turnover every year. Now, just try to imagine what I just told you. Wow. And so he works very hard trying to make sure that people stay. Now it's a lower paid jobs, it's maintenance, janitorial, etc. But the point is, become a magnet for great people. Become the kind of organization, small or large, it doesn't matter. Become the kind of organization that other people are just want to be a part of it. They say, oh my gosh, if I can just work with this person, if I can just work with this company, I know my life will be filled with success and framed with significance. And the way you do that is you deliver appreciated value, you have a good reputation. Remember, there are 5 capitals. Capital as in financial capital, for example. You start a business, you have to have money. If you buy a franchise, you have to have money for the fee, money to leasehold improvements, equipment, etc. So number 1 is financial capital. Number 2 is educational. Learn something new every day. Be around people who can really instill greatness in your heart. Number 3 is a reputational capital. In other words, what people say about you and think about you. Number 4 is physical. You got to take care of your body so that you have the energy to get things done. And the most important one of all, perhaps, is relational capital. People will treat you in a manner that's equal to the way you treat them. Ford has always been fair to me, kind to me. He's always exaggerated about my skills and talents. I like it. And so, you appreciate relationships like that. But look, I do think the world is changing. I do think it's tougher out there. I do think it's going to command more of all of us to pay attention to our business. I want to end with this little story, Ford.
Sure, of course.
When I owned Great Harvest Bread Company, we had 240 stores, and I wanted to get everybody in the culture, in the mindset that says we must be uniquely distinctive. Uniquely distinctive, not just distinctive, but uniquely distinctive, that other people can't imitate who we are. And I developed a simple principle that's called qualitative quantity. So it's not enough to do more. It's not enough to just render quality. You must have qualitative quantity. Do both and see what happens. The whole world We stand by and look at you and want to do business with you. And so I said to our managers of all the stores, I said, look, the franchisees, I said, look, I want to ask you a question. It's a theoretical question, but it makes you think. What if we said no customer can come into our Great Harvest Bakery? They can't come in unless first to go to a booth that's outside our store. And somebody at the booth is selling tickets, admission tickets to our store.
Right.
Now, I know they're going to spend money with us, but they cannot come in the store unless they buy a ticket. Maybe it's $2, maybe it's $5. Here's the question. What would you have to do inside the store? What kind of reputation must you evolve and develop so that they're willing to pay you $2 or $5, $3, $4, $5 to come inside your store? And they gave me great answers. Music, friendly people, aroma, don't give them samples, give them amples, put stuff on the wall, put stuff for children. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So apply that question to anything, Ford. Apply it to anything.
Yes.
Apply it to customers, as I did, but apply it to employees. If they have to pay money to just have an interview with you, what kind of an organization would you be? How would they have to think about you? How would they have to perceive you so they would do that? Now, look, 98% of America, Ford Saeks, listen to me, 98% of America would rather be comfortable than be excellent.
So true. It's so true.
To us, you don't have as much competition as you think. You don't.
Well, we got to clap for this. This has been amazing. I know how many time units I'm over. This has been Dr. Nido Qubein from High Point University. Check their university out. If you're sending somebody there, or you know someone who you should send there, but just to look at the vision and how they've done that. And of course, download the app, HPU Plus with a plus sign, and you'll be able to get some great leaders. And I'm sure you've enjoyed this episode today. We go live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So, Nido, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing such nuggets of wisdom. I'm going to go back. My team was taking notes as we were broadcasting this, and I really appreciate your friendship. And of course, I'm a phone call away if there's anything you need.
You're the best of the best, my friend. Thank you. My privilege.